the most valuable data to increase AI's capabilities is the enterprise data. Because that's where stuff actually gets done.
Yep.
It's not the internet and Reddit.
Right.
Like, that's just crazy. It's the Wild West. You could write poems about frogs and all this stuff, but when you want to solve problems, make sure a pallet goes to Gerber instead of sending a lithium pallet somewhere. There are all of these real decisions. That's enterprise data. That's not sitting on Reddit.
Welcome to Innovate or Evaporate, the podcast where we explore the relentless pace of change and the innovators who drive it. Each episode, we dive deep into cutting-edge ideas, breakthrough technologies, and the fearless pioneers reshaping the world. Today, David Stout joins us on the Expo Hall floor at the Rally Innovation Conference. As the founder of webAI, David raised a $17 million seed round and is leveraging artificial intelligence to transform the digital landscape. His journey from a bold idea to building a thriving AI-driven enterprise is a powerful testament to entrepreneurial grit and innovation. He shares how he navigated the challenges of startup life, the importance of data-driven insights, and his vision for how AI will revolutionize business and everyday interactions. If you're ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to navigate the future, stay tuned, because it's Innovate or Evaporate.
David, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so fired up to talk with you today. We're here at Rally, actually, is where we're recording this podcast today. And I think you're taking the stage. What are you talking about today?
Excited to be here. At Rally, we're going to be talking about AI moonshots and the challenges that come with that. And it's going to be a great time. I'm really excited to share some of my background in AI and hopefully give some explanation for my perspective on the space.
Well, I love that. Let's jump into that first. Before we talk about what you're doing today, let's take a little trip down memory lane, right? You grew up in northern Michigan.
Yes, sir.
So let's set the table for, where did you grow up? How did you grow up? Did you think you would be doing, engineering things or AI things back then? Like, let's kind of set the table.
Yeah, absolutely not. I grew up on a cattle ranch in northern Michigan, one of, I think, just a few Texas Longhorn ranches in Michigan. My parents.
How many cattle did you have?
I don't even know. A lot.
Thousands?
Not thousands.
The hundreds?
Yeah, in that ballpark. Yeah, for sure.
We had 200 hogs when I grew up, and I thought that was a lot.
Yeah. These are just bigger pigs,
Yeah.
That was a formative experience. I think, growing up on a farm, you learn really quickly that scarcity is the driver of true innovation, and you learn how to solve problems particularly fast and with very limited resources. And I think that was probably the biggest lesson that I took away from, growing up on a farm. And I still think about it a lot.
So what did you gravitate towards? Like, let's say in the middle school, high school days, what did you gravitate towards in terms of like coursework or in terms of hobbies when you weren't driving cattle?
Yeah. So for me, I was always interested in machines. I was interested in music, but if my parents were here, they would say, they couldn't leave me in a room. I would take things apart. Like if my parents bought a TV or a remote control, it would be apart. It'd be done. And I wanted to know how things worked.
That's awesome.
So my dad had, a fully functioning shop on the farm to, maintain tractors and everything. And, I spent, most of my summer days out there, and I wanted to understand how things worked. And that was a real gift for me.
So I think around the 7th grade, we used to have industrial arts in school.
Yeah.
And one of our assignments was to pull apart a lawnmower engine and put it back together, basically rebuild it.
So cool.
And I think my engine had like 4 or 5 screws and springs and parts left over when I put mine together.
That's never a good sign.
That's not a good sign.
No.
All right. So, okay. So then, where'd you go to school after that?
So I bounced around. So I got a great opportunity to go to college. I went to a small business school in Grand Rapids. And then from there, I wanted to further explore, what was next. So I launched a web service company when I was a freshman. And we were hosting templates and essentially back-end databases for companies. And we were hosting it right in the dorm. And right when that started getting some traction, I realized that's what I wanted to do. And I started thinking about this reality that the amount of effort it takes to do something, large or small is marginally different.
Now, and when was this? About what year was this taking place?
Oh, man, this is probably 2014, 2015.
Okay.
And
so pretty early.
Yeah.
And
And I was like, why not do something big? Because it's marginally different. It's not an order of magnitude harder to do something really big. And like why not go for the big thing? I don't want to just host web services. I want to do something that changes the world.
Yep. In fact, the little things I think are harder to do sometimes.
I agree. Yeah. And I think people miss that.
Yeah.
And so take these audacious goals, have those audacious goals. And I ended up going to taking an online class at Georgia Tech for electronics. I wanted to see, back to the farm day, taking stuff apart. I'm like, but it wasn't for me. Went to University of Michigan for neuropathy. Wasn't there. Ended up finding my sweet spot at Stanford where I was studying machine learning.
Okay.
And it was really clear that this felt like the moment where I could contribute to something. And I understood it. But that came with a lot of major conceits where I was like, I don't agree with what we're doing. It's like big data only, big compute. And I was like, man, if that's true, the incumbents win.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that doesn't sound like innovation.
So this is 16-ish now?
17, yeah.
17?
Yeah.
So that's still a long time ago.
I've been doing AI for almost 10 years.
For almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, right? So if we don't think outside the box. So how did you start to break that mold then? What were some of the first things, which is probably experimentation by yourself, I'm assuming? Yeah,
my roommate, Ethan, who's one of the co-founders of webAI, we realized that we really needed to build a solution that could run on a local device. And if we could prove that, that would create a new paradigm that we could actually, talk to.
Yep.
And we ended up getting, at the time, Darknet YOLO, which is one of the bigger models at the time, more popularized. We got it running on a 64-bit processor, which was like the iPhone. And we got a lot of traction, right? We all of a sudden heard from Square investment team with Jack Dorsey's team, and all of a sudden all these different people, right, are messaging and this is interesting, right? But we were like, we need to do this in a way that enables almost everyone to use it. Because if we can take this moat out of AI and let anybody build, that's a really disruptive technology. Now, all of a sudden, if you take the compute costs and data costs out of things, what happens to these companies that their largest moat is the capital they spend, to keep people out of it?
What were some of the biggest hurdles you had to overcome to I'll use the word, is this a fair word, to democratize it?
Yeah, that's the right word.
Yeah. So what were some of the biggest hurdles? What were some moments where you're how are we going to navigate around that or through that?
I mean, we came up with a great architecture that reduced. We were training vision models at the time, and this is probably 2019. The company was formed. It was just under a different name. So Iris was our first name, and then we transitioned that to webAI. And we built this architecture that was really incredible, and Tyler and Ethan and I were working on it, and it reduced the training time of a vision model by at least an order of magnitude. And it was on consumer hardware. And we couldn't get the thing to compile on the limited hardware we had. We didn't have a ton of capital raised. I don't think we had any, frankly, at that point. It was later in 2019 we took our first check.
Are you still in the dorm room, or have you now? Do you have?
We're in a basement.
You're in a basement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And we couldn't. We ran this big test. We broke things down, and we were like, okay, if we can get this architecture to work, we have something. And I think it was weeks we couldn't get the thing to compile, and it ended up being the smallest typo in the code. And I remember thinking back, there were conversations of quitting, if this wasn't going to work, and thinking back, how many ideas do kids face or founders face that are frankly perspective, like or little tiny. It's the detail that's missed.
Sure, absolutely.
And I'm like, man, that was an oh shit moment where I was like, man, this is hard because we almost like dropped a concept.
Yeah.
Because of like, an asterisk, like or a typo or a plus where there should have been a minus.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
You're right. That's insane.
And that's how there was no documentation like in AI at this point. It was still so early. So you can't like Google it,
right,
or ask ChatGPT. It's like there is no option. You have to figure it out.
Can you debug this for me, please?
Yeah, exactly. Didn't exist. Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
All right, so talk to me about where you are today with webAI.
Yeah, so we're growing. We're based in Austin, Texas. We have a satellite office in Michigan. We just closed a significant capital round that got announced. That's got announced a few weeks ago, but there's some media on that. That's more to come. But we raised at a $700 million valuation.
Congratulations!
Yeah, so we've got great traction with customers and some more partnerships to come with some publicly traded tech companies. The company is nearing 70 people nationwide. We have teams in Europe as well. Yeah, we're on track to disrupt an industry, but a lot to do.
Can you share a story or two with a customer or two on some projects you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's really interesting is webAI is living in like the deployment world, and I think there's a lot of AI companies that are living on the cloud and they're more science experiments. Our customers are deploying AI into like physical environments, and our AI systems like today, while we're talking, like webAI is running factories.
Yep.
Like, and that's an incredible thing. Like, because there's something about being in the Midwest where like we make real things, right?
Yep.
We're great at making physical things.
There was a study that showed that Midwest companies actually return a better ROI to VCs.
I believe
than
it.
Coastal companies.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Because there's a mentality there, right?
Yeah.
And so a good example of a customer, we work with a major manufacturer that probably makes the majority of pallets that ship across the world. Whether it's Costco or Walmart.
Yep.
Pallets are pretty critical for American infrastructure. Yep. And it's something that's really easy to overlook.
Yep.
We're doing everything from inspection to routing, all on-prem with this customer. And we took something that was using technology, in AI technology before that was 14 cents an inspection, which was, a problem with the volume. We brought that to 4 cents.
Holy cow.
So
that's insane.
This is where cloud AI can't compete, though, because their unit economics aren't there, because their hosting fees and the cost of compute.
You sure?
So what we're in a position right now to really disrupt, because go to Best Buy, buy a machine, download webAI, and we'll run AI right on your device.
That's really interesting.
It's incredible. Yeah.
So how disruptive does that become, right, with data centers or those types of things? Do you think that becomes a massive disruption in that model?
I sure hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a place for both. But I don't think I think we're overbuilding. I think we're about to be in like this hyperscaling season where we have way too much infrastructure. The problem with
which we're really good in the tech world, right? We just sometimes just go with it. And
we do
produce too much in abundance.
We do. And I'm wondering, like what really happens there. And there's smarter people than me that are thinking about it. But I think that you could, an analogy I think of is like, let's say we're city planners, and I tell you, 90% of the cars on the highway are going to increase by an order of magnitude over the next 2 years. And then you look at me and you say, we're just going to add more lanes.
Right.
And that's, to me, like, we're not really solving the core problem. Like, let's say data centers are the answer. We don't have enough power on our grid.
Exactly right.
So, like, we're not really solving the problem.
About that.
No, they're not. And so I tend to think that how I try to diagnose things and really challenge myself at times is when incumbents are so easy to catch up. I think that we're probably not as disruptive as we think we are. So, an example, I'll OpenAI releases ChatGPT. It's a significant moment for AI. 5-6 weeks they have competitive, options in the space that, if not, are better at certain areas.
You're right.
So, how could that happen? How, like I thought startups are like these disruptive forces that turn the market on their ear, and the reason it happened, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, is that you have a company that productized a science that they didn't create better. So they took something that Google made, which was the transformer, and they packaged it with GPT better than anyone else had ever had.
Yep.
And they trained it better than anyone else ever had. But it wasn't their technology.
You're right.
So all of a sudden, Facebook competes. All of a sudden, Google competes. And it's a race to zero now because they built on an incumbent infrastructure.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden, a company comes out and models are free to make and they're better, what happens to that industry? I mean, and that would be, I guess I try to think, like, if the incumbents can catch up, is it really disruptive?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about, like, Snowflake I saw a deck years ago with Snowflake, and they were talking about the businesses that build on top of other platforms that already exist actually have bigger opportunity to scale, bigger marketplace than the original foundation itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
This is interesting. What have I not asked you that you really want to share about your thoughts on AI, the state of AI today, the future of where we're going, mistakes we're making?
Yeah. You've done a great job. I think whenever I get a chance to talk about AI, I think it's important to let people know that these systems aren't, God, and they're not. We haven't reached super intelligence by any means.
Yep.
I think the real question is, would AI be as relevant as it is today if we didn't have as good of an internet as we do? Like with the information that's accessible.
Yep.
I think AI is a great innovation, but it's definitely supported by, the internet and things where that information was accessible to train on. And I don't think we've seen systems truly like imitate, human level intelligence yet. But I think we will see that. And I think it's important that people are building it with that in mind to make sure humans are relevant in that story. But, we've got a long way to go. And I think we're just beginning. I think there's a lot of people in the market that are saying AI is kind of like the internet bubble. The problem is I don't see a pets.com yet.
Yeah.
And I think that we're just getting started.
So that's really interesting. Like I had a company back then during the dot bomb, and we got out of it. Our investors got a 4x cash on cash return because we actually had customers, right?
Yeah.
So we were in the cable business, cable internet telephony, and everybody else was in the eyeball business. Yeah. And I remember the VCs saying, we invest in eyeballs, and I'm like, well, I'm delivering customers. Yeah. And I got a lot of no's from VCs. So I guess so. If I'm an entrepreneur today and I'm just getting started, or let's say I'm or even if I'm a $10, $15, $20 million revenue company, what should I be thinking about if I didn't kind of think about AI when I started my company? At this point now, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, or even 10 years ago, or if I'm starting now, and the things I'm thinking about are, what's the difference between a data scientist, a mathematician, and a machine learning engineer, and a database, a back-end engineer, how I think about leveraging tools, like how I build my company or disrupt myself. Yeah. Do I stand up a SWAT team in parallel? Not that I'm going to fire these people. Yeah. But like, hey, we're just going to disrupt ourselves and we're all going to morph. Like, what the heck do I do?
I think you need to do something. I think the rule of thumb I try to live under is not moving is a decision, and not moving is moving, right? In like the sense of like you made a decision when you're not acting. And I think the companies that are really struggling, and I think will continue to struggle, are the ones that are acting like it's not relevant or it's not going to impact their business. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of great companies that are trying things, even knowing that it might not make it in their product, right? So there's this willingness to try, and I see teams standing up, like maybe 4 or 5 person teams that are going to, work on what could we do with AI, at least so we better understand it. I think we're still too early. I think it's good that, if you're a company that hasn't integrated AI, good. I don't know how many companies I've heard that are integrating like cloud-based AI solutions. They're like, the more people use it, the more money we lose. Like that. Like I think that there's like big issues there. So I would say good. use webAI. Like find a solution or don't. Like find a solution to do it internally. But I think it's important, what we do is we enable AI to live on your prem. And what I really believe, and I think this will come out, is the most valuable data to increase AI's capabilities is the enterprise data. Because that's where stuff actually gets done.
Yep.
It's not the internet and Reddit.
Right.
Like that's just kind of crazy. It's the Wild West. Like you could write poems about frogs and all this stuff, but when you want to like solve problems, like, make sure a pallet goes to Gerber instead of like sending like a lithium pallet somewhere, like there all of these like real decisions, like that's enterprise data. That's not sitting on Reddit,
So I love that whole analogy because a buddy of mine, and he just sold it, but he was the CEO of a large paper company, and they make receipts.
Yeah.
And the retailers, they don't want receipts to go away. They want a paper receipt. The consumer, it's like the only tangible thing we have that we actually consummated a deal, a sale, right? And it can't be purely digital because there could be issues with that. And I love that you just went right to the pallet example because we have to move stuff.
Yeah, we do.
In pallets, wood or plastic, or there's different materials now they make, composites. That's a whole industry business in of itself. And you start talking about peeling 70 or 80%, right, of the cost structure out of the equation.
Yeah.
That's transformative.
AI should drive better unit economics, not the inverse.
Yeah.
And I think as long as that's the case, you're adopting AI wrong.
I love it. David, anything else you want to share with the
thanks
audience?
for having me. No, it's a privilege to be here. Excited to be at Rally, and I'll definitely be visiting next year.
Awesome. Thanks, David. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks so much.
This episode was brought to you by Rally, the Global Cross-Sector Innovation Conference. Learn more at rallyinnovation.com.